Okay, I just watched a movie called The Drama, and I need you to understand something before we start. This is a romantic comedy. It says so on the tin. It is also the single most stressful, skin-crawling, watch-it-through-your-fingers experience I have had all year, and I could not stop laughing the entire time. It is a movie that weaponizes the word honesty. Stick with me, because by the end, you are going to be scared of your own friend group. Here's your one-line warning before we go in. Somewhere in this nice, normal, in-love friend group is a person carrying a secret so heavy that when it finally drops, it takes a whole wedding down with it. I'm not going to tell you who or what yet. I'm just going to ask you to watch how relaxed everyone is right now, how cozy, how safe they all feel, and remember that feeling because the entire movie is a countdown to the moment it shatters. Okay, coffee shop, let's go. We open in a coffee shop, soft light, gentle music. A man walks in and orders a black coffee, and I want you to lock eyes with this man because this is Charlie. Charlie is British. Charlie is the kind of awkward that has its own weather system. He is the kind of guy who says sorry to a chair. And he is about to attempt human flirting live without a license. Nearby is a woman named Emma, and she is rapturously, loudly in love with a book she just finished. I really admire it, she gushes. And Charlie, sensing a connection, sensing maybe his one shot at love, opens his mouth and just fumbles it directly onto the floor. It goes so badly. He tries to compliment the book. She squints at him like he is a raccoon that learned to talk. He panics and clarifies, and I quote, "I'm not hitting on you," which is, scientifically, the exact sentence that makes a person sound like they are 100% hitting on you. The vibe in this coffee shop drops to absolute zero. Somewhere a barista decides not to get involved. But here is the thing. They actually start talking about the book. Some genuinely unsettling story about a woman and a mirror and whether or not she actually died, and the two of them get weirdly, perfectly in sync about it. It is strange. It is specific. It is the exact weird wavelength two weirdos need to share to fall in love. She looks at him and calls him a weird little British freak. And instead of crumbling, Charlie doubles down on the bit, and honestly, game recognizes game. This disaster is a love story now. And I want to sit in this opening one more second, because the movie is being sneaky brilliant. The book they bond over is about a woman who can't trust what she's seeing, a mirror, a reality that might be lying to her. And that is, no exaggeration, the whole movie in a thumbnail. Everybody in this film is a mirror, showing the people they love a flattering, slightly wrong reflection of themselves. The entire story is the moment that mirror cracks and you finally see the actual person underneath and quietly decide you maybe preferred the reflection. The film hands you its central metaphor in the first 5 minutes, disguised as two awkward weirdos flirting badly about a paperback, and then just waits for you to remember it. Devious. I respect it enormously. And keep one eye on Charlie specifically, because right now he is the most lovable little disaster in the world, the sweet, awkward British guy, and I need you to clock how much you like him this early. Bank it. Write down how you feel about Charlie at minute 5. Because this movie is going to take that exact feeling and run it through a wood chipper, slowly, over the next 90 minutes, and the whole experiment of the film is watching whether anything survives on the other side. Your relationship with this character is the roller coaster. The card is still going up. Enjoy the view. And then the movie pulls its first sneaky little trick, and this is when you realize it is smarter than it is letting on. Because this whole adorable meet cute, it is not happening live. Emma is telling it out loud, to a room full of her friends, as rehearsal. She is workshopping the story of how she met Charlie into a wedding speech, and her friends are her extremely unqualified focus group. So let us meet the focus group, because these people are the engine of the entire movie. There is Rachel, who hears the cute meet cute story and immediately, suspiciously asks, "Wait, so he trapped you?" Rachel is the friend who has appointed herself emotional district attorney of the group, and that is a personality type that is going to matter enormously later. There is Mike. There is the whole gang. And there is the slowly dawning realization that the Charlie in this charming story is Emma's actual boyfriend, who at this very moment wanders in because he forgot his wallet. The legend himself. He left his wallet. Of course he did. And this friend group, I cannot stress this enough, is a beautiful, chaotic disaster, and watching them is like watching a group chat achieve sentience. They argue about which fancy word belongs in the speech. Should it be licentious or languorous, or should we, skip the part that makes everyone uncomfortable? They roast Charlie about working late in the specific sarcastic tone that means not one single person at this table believes the working late story. Every sentence out of these people is 50% affection and 50% assault, and it is glorious. And the speech workshopping itself is such a perfect little character bomb. Because think about what's actually happening. Emma is crafting the official, sanded-down, audience-ready version of her own love story with a committee in advance. She's not remembering how they met. She's producing it. Picking the laugh lines, cutting the weird parts, deciding which true things are too true to say out loud at a wedding. Everyone treats it as totally normal because it is totally normal. That's what we all do. And the movie just quietly lets you notice that the cute origin story you fell for 2 minutes ago is a managed product with a focus group. Nothing in this film is unedited. Not the meet cute, not the marriage, not the people. Everyone's running a slightly nicer cut of themselves, and the horror of the back half is just the raw footage leaking out. Then it tips into total surrealism, which is the movie's secret weapon. Somebody tries to scare somebody else by very calmly announcing there is a giant spider crawling up their back into their hair. Do not panic. It does not land because the delivery is all wrong and they get notes on it. There is an entire baffling exchange about whether someone just said the words, a hairy knife. A hairy knife. That is not a thing. Nobody in this room is well. Everybody in this room is having the time of their lives. This is the texture of the whole film. Lovely people being completely unhinged in a warm, well-lit room, while something dark waits patiently in the next scene. And then we get the wedding prep because, oh yes, there is a wedding coming. First up, dance lessons. And the dance lessons are quietly devastating. There is an instructor and he counts them through it with the saintly patience and the dead, hollow eyes of a man who has watched 10,000 couples discover, in real time, that they have no chemistry. Slide into and kiss. Ready and drag step step. Go around a full circle. Emma, lovely, beautiful, soul-crushing. And Charlie, our sweet awkward groom, cannot do the middle section. He just cannot get it. Still a little difficulty in the middle section, the instructor says, but overall much better. And I need you to write that sentence down because it is not just about the dance. That is the entire relationship in one review. Charlie and Emma are great at the beginning. They will be fine at the end. But somewhere in the middle, every single time, something goes catastrophically wrong. Tattoo the middle section on the inside of your eyelids, by the way, because this movie is built like a sandwich and the filling is rancid. There is one genuinely sweet beat where the rehearsal melts into something real. Dance with me? No, come on. Yes, it's cute. Two people actually connecting for a second, no audience, no speech, no bit. And then instantly, the movie pulls the thread. Can we stop messing around? What was that about? Why does she care so much? A tiny hairline crack of real friction. And this is a film that never, ever wastes a crack. It just files it away and waits. Because next, the gang spots the wedding DJ across the way and we get the single most important piece of lore in the movie's comedic universe, the heroin DJ. Somebody is convinced this DJ at a previous gig was doing heroin. Out on the street, mid-set. Are you sure it was heroin? Wells, we can't prove it was heroin, and this group will not let it go. They will return to the heroin DJ over and over like it is sacred scripture. And that right there is the entire thesis of the movie disguised as a dumb bit. These people will take one piece of unverified gossip about a person and decide permanently who that person is. Remember that. Hold on to it. They are about to do it to someone they love. So the group is riding high on heroin DJ gossip. Somebody cracks that they barely touched the food at their own wedding. Everyone's a little drunk, everyone's cozy, and the night is perfect. Which, in a movie called The Drama, is the exact barometric pressure right before a tornado. And then someone says the 4 words that have ended more friendships than money and politics combined. What about the dog story? Now the dog story. Charlie does not want to tell the dog story. Rachel makes him tell the dog story. And it is the perfect opening act because it is genuinely funny and only mildly horrifying. Back in college, Charlie was dating a girl named Tessa, and there was a dog, and the dog got aggressive and it started actually biting her. And Charlie, hero that he is, valiantly, heroically hid behind his own girlfriend. He moved behind her. He used his romantic partner as a human shield against a medium-sized dog. The table groans. The table laughs. Nobody's mad. It's a great party story. And can we talk about how this game is humanity's single dumbest invention? Let's all confess the worst thing we've ever done is not an icebreaker, it's a controlled demolition with snacks. There is no good outcome. Either your worst thing is boring and now everyone knows you're a coward who hid behind a girlfriend from a dog, or your worst thing is genuinely bad and now everyone knows that instead. Nobody has ever played this game and walked away closer. And yet every friend group, drunk enough at least once, decides tonight's the night we find out who we really are. Spoiler, you do not want to know who you really are. Nobody does. That's why it was the worst thing. And here's the genius of how the movie shoots this whole sequence. It makes you complicit. Because you sitting at home are leaning in. You want to hear the worst thing. You're playing the game too. The movie knows you're a nosy little gremlin who clicked on a video literally called a breakdown of other people's drama, and it serves you the escalating confessions like appetizers, and you eat everyone, and then it puts the big plate down and dares you to still be hungry. That tension, you wanting the secret and then desperately wishing you could give it back, that's the whole ride. Remember the heroine DJ. Remember how the group decided who she was forever off one rumor. You're about to watch them do it to one of their own in real time, and you're going to feel how easy it is because you'll be doing it too. And that is the trap, because the dog story raises the floor. Once one person confesses something a little bad and survives, the game has a taste for blood and the bar climbs. So someone goes a little darker, and then a little darker than that. And I'm going to be straight with you about how I'm handling this because the movie's whole engine is escalation. The confessions get genuinely disturbing fast, and they tip from oh no comedy into a silence you could hear a pin drop in. I'm not going to restage the worst of it, and honestly the movie is smart enough to mostly let it live in the reactions rather than the details. What matters is the temperature of that room, and the temperature just dropped through the floor. Because Charlie, drunk, feeling safe, feeling loved, feeling like maybe these are the people who could finally hear the real him, confesses the big one. The thing he has never told anyone. The thing he has never told Emma. And it is dark in a way that cannot be unheard, the kind of thing that instantly, permanently rewrites how every person in that room sees him. And the second it leaves his mouth, you watch his own face catch up to what he's done. He reached for connection. He pulled the pin on a grenade and set it on the dinner table. The silence afterward is the best and worst thing in the film. Nobody laughs. Nobody knows where to look. One person tries weakly to keep it light. 7 minutes, you've got the keys there in your purse. The desperate small talk of a group trying to pretend the floor didn't just open. It doesn't work. The night is over. Something much bigger than the night is over, and everyone in the room knows it, and absolutely nobody is going to say it out loud. We cut to the drunken wreckage of after. Charlie's a mess. There's a fuzzy moment with an old photo. Is that you? When did you wear glasses? The kind of soft, dumb, intimate thing that would be sweet on any other night and now just feels like a stranger wearing your boyfriend's face. And the friends off to the side deliver the verdict the whole group has silently reached. She's insane. She's obviously not the person you thought she was. And then the gut punch line dropped like a brick. The wedding is this week. And notice what the friends do because it's the heroine DJ all over again, just with someone they love. One confession, one data point, and the verdict is instant and total. She's insane. She's not who you thought. Full stop. Case closed. No let's understand it. No people are complicated. Just reclassified, filed under monster, done. These are her best friends. They love her. And it took them about 90 seconds to decide she's a different person now. That's the quietly terrifying thing the whole movie keeps showing you. How fast the people closest to you will tear up your story and write a new one where you're the villain, the second they get one ugly fact. Makes you want to never tell anyone anything ever again, which, hey, is exactly the instinct that got everyone into this mess. Yeah. That's the clock. The bomb has gone off and the wedding is in 7 days and nobody has the courage to call it off because calling it off means admitting out loud in public that the perfect thing was never perfect. The next morning, the movie makes its smartest move and it's so quiet you almost miss it. It does not give us a screaming fight. It gives us an apology and a flinch. I'm really sorry about last night. And then Emma, carefully, gently, trying to find the doorway back to the man she thought she was marrying, asks the only question that matters. Was it true? And Charlie does the thing he minimizes. I was drunk. I didn't plan to say it. Notice he's sorry he said it. He is not even a little bit addressing the it. And when she presses, he pivots fast to attacking her. You fixate on things. You know how you are. You can't let things go, which is, chef's kiss, the exact same thing the whole friend group did to the heroine DJ. The movie is showing you in real time that the only thing more dangerous than a dark secret is a man who would rather make you the problem than sit in being wrong for 2 consecutive seconds. We get a quieter scene where Emma tries to understand him, to find a reason, and the movie doles out just enough backstory to complicate everything without letting anyone off the hook. We learn about a lonely kid who moved around a lot, who never quite fit, and who, at some point, started playing a character to get attention, and then slowly forgot it was a character. It's genuinely sad. It's also not an excuse, and the movie knows it's not an excuse, and it refuses to hand you the comfort of either fully forgiving him or fully writing him off. That tension, the can you love someone after this question, is the whole engine of the back half. And I want to flag how brave it is that the movie won't let Charlie be a cartoon. It would be so easy. Make him a monster and the whole thing becomes a simple girl dodges a bullet story, and you feel nothing but relief. But the film refuses. It keeps insisting he's a real, frightened, lonely, genuinely in love person who also did a terrible thing, and it makes you hold both of those in your hands at the same time, and it is so much heavier than a monster. Because a monster you just leave. A person you might still love. That's the trap. That's the actual horror of this movie. Not the secret. The fact that knowing it doesn't instantly switch off the love. It would be more convenient if it did. It doesn't. It never does. That's the part nobody warns you about. Meanwhile, the wedding machine grinds on because nothing says let's process trauma like a non-refundable deposit. Enter the wedding videographer, who is a genius, a menace, and my favorite character in the film. This man runs the most excruciating emotional exercises you have ever seen. He has Charlie and Emma stand close, put a hand on the chest, gaze into each other's eyes, and his words, send those feelings into the camera. Double empathy, he calls it, nodding like he just invented fire. Don't forget to smile. Really sell it. It is peak wedding industrial complex nonsense. It is also unbearable now because you're watching 2 people manufacture a love on command that has just had a hole blown straight through the middle of it. Remember the camera. The movie really wants you to remember the camera. And this videographer, I'm telling you, is an unintentional villain and a comic masterpiece. He is so serene, so confident in his little exercises. Put a hand on his chest, oh bling. There we go. Love it. He's directing these 2 people through the motions of an intimacy that is actively dying under his lens, and he has absolutely no idea. And that gap between the warm couple he thinks he's filming and the 2 terrified strangers actually standing there is the funniest and saddest thing in the movie at the same time. He keeps telling them to really see each other. Sir, do not make them do that. That is the one thing in the universe these 2 people currently cannot afford to do. He is, without knowing it, running a couples therapy intensive on a relationship that is 30 seconds from the morgue and billing them for it and asking them to smile. And I keep coming back to that phrase, send it into the camera, because it's the whole sickness of the wedding industrial complex in 5 words. It doesn't matter what you feel. It matters what the camera catches. Make the feeling pointed at the lens, we'll fix the rest in the edit. That's not a wedding, that's content. And the cruel joke the movie is setting up, and I do mean setting up, plant this flag, is that this camera, this exact camera, is going to be rolling later for the single worst moment of these people's lives. Every disaster that's coming gets captured in loving 4K by a man who just wanted them to really sell it. Chekhov's wedding videographer. He's on the wall. He's going to go off. And in the middle of all this forced eye contact and staged intimacy, the videographer asks them to truly see each other, to be present, to acknowledge the person in front of them. And it would be beautiful if it weren't quietly the most devastating ask in the movie, because Emma is looking at Charlie and no longer knows who she's looking at. Someone even describes a feeling like finally waking up from a bad dream, cute exercise, brutal subtext. And then the movie just casually drops its entire thesis on the floor and walks away. Someone brings up a Freud line, the feelings we don't talk about get buried alive and they come back out in uglier ways. That's it. That's the whole movie. Write it on the wall. Every disaster in this film is a buried feeling clawing its way out of the ground at the worst possible moment. The film told you exactly what it was going to do to you out loud with a Freud quote, and you still won't be ready. Cut to the next morning and here's the masterstroke. No fight, a smoothie. Charlie is in the kitchen aggressively performing normalcy, making a smoothie, and Emma walks in and just looks at him. "Why are you looking at me like that?" he asks. "Like what? Like you're scared of me?" And there it is. That is going to be the rest of their lives now. Her studying him, trying to reconcile the man she loves with the thing she knows. Him feeling that look and slowly starting to resent her for it. She gently floats the reasonable questions. Did you ever get help? Did you ever talk to anyone? You were so young, and he bristles, because to Charlie every question is an accusation and every kindness is a trap. And this is the part of the movie that quietly reaches into your own life and grabs something, because we have all been on one side of that smoothie. You've either been the person desperately trying to explain that you're not the worst thing you ever did, or you've been the person across the counter, smiling, nodding, and privately rebuilding your entire picture of someone you love. The movie's too smart to pick a side. It just lets that kitchen get colder and colder and asks you, genuinely, what would you do? Stay and try to love the whole person, dark basement and all, or run? Hold that question, because the back half of this movie is going to make every single character answer it, out loud, in formalware. There's also a whole secondary storm brewing, because this is a movie that refuses to let you breathe. There's a coworker named Misha, there's some mysterious thing left on a desk, there's Rachel suddenly going quiet and not answering texts or emails. The movie is loading a second gun while you are still staring, horrified, at the first one. Everyone is carrying something. Everyone is performing fine. The group chat is curdling in real time. And we get this incredible, uncomfortable stretch where Charlie tries to practice being vulnerable, even sets up a little role play of meeting Emma at a bar. Is this seat taken? What's a sexy guy like you doing all alone? And it curdles, because of course it does, into a real fight. Things get thrown. I'm sorry I threw it away. It's obviously not about the mug, Charlie. And that line is the whole relationship. It is never, ever about the mug. It's about the thing under the mug, the thing under that, all the way down to the thing he confessed at dinner that neither of them can stop circling. Then the dam cracks wider and the dark confession from that dinner gets dragged back into the light, examined, argued over. Charlie, astonishingly, tries to normalize it, floating that there are probably thousands of people walking around with the exact same darkness in their past, just living normal lives you'd never know. Which is either a genuinely chilling observation about humanity or the single worst thing a person could say to reassure their fiancé, and the movie lets it be both. And threaded under all of it is a sad bit of context about one of their own, a friend who lost someone young and never got any help for it. Because that's the quiet tragedy humming under this entire movie. Nobody in it ever got the help they needed, so it all comes out sideways at weddings, in kitchens, over mugs. Now the movie starts loading everyone into the same room for the big finish, and it does it with this awful, delicious patience. There's a new character, Sam, Rachel's cousin, who wanders in being charming, and there's an excruciating bit where someone insists, "I think you would love Emma," doing clumsy matchmaking around a marriage that is actively on fire. There's a beautiful, horrible, true love is sacrifice line read off a card. Nobody in this movie can say a sincere thing without it being a rehearsal for something. And honestly, this stretch is where the dread becomes almost unbearable, because the movie keeps cutting to wedding logistics, the seating, the cables, the cousin, the small talk, while you, the viewer, are sitting there with a live grenade in your lap that none of them can see yet. It's the Hitchcock thing, the bomb under the table. You know, they don't. So every single mundane, polite, "So how do you two know each other?" exchange is dripping with horror, because you're just waiting for the wrong sentence to land near the wrong person. The comedy and the dread stop being separate things. A guy complimenting another guy's jacket becomes a suspense sequence. That's a movie in complete control of its audience's nervous system, and it is using that control exclusively to torture you, lovingly. And then we get a smaller, quieter confession game, this time with Misha, and it's the movie rhyming with itself. "What's the worst thing you've ever done?" Misha admits she cheated once on a genuinely nice guy, and she's eaten up with guilt about it. And then she turns it back, "What's the worst thing you've ever done?" And the answer she gets is so much bigger than cheating that it just hangs in the air. Somebody says it plainly, devastatingly, "I love the person I thought he was." Not, "I hate him." Not, "He's a monster." Just, "The man I fell for might never have actually existed, and I'm marrying the other one on Saturday." And the way the movie rhymes the two confession games is just chef's kiss cruel. Round 1, drunk on a couch, blew up a relationship. Round 2, sober, quieter, and somehow worse, because now everyone knows the stakes and they're doing it anyway. These people cannot stop poking the wound. It's like watching someone who just got food poisoning go, "You know what, I'm gonna finish the buffet." And honestly, respect, because I would also rather detonate my entire life than sit in one uncomfortable silence, which is exactly why this movie feels less like fiction and more like a documentary somebody secretly filmed at my own friend group. Anyway, the wedding's tomorrow. What could possibly go wrong? Everything. The answer is everything. Then it's the day. The wedding day. Everyone's dressed, everyone's smiling, those tight, photogenic, "Please God let us get through this" smiles. And the comedy does not stop, thank God, because the heroin DJ saga finally pays off. Someone confronts the DJ and it turns out, yeah, the heroin thing has substance. There's a whole, admit it and we can move past it negotiation. She refuses and she gets fired on her own gig on the wedding day. The running joke becomes a tiny, perfect miniature of the entire film. A person defined by one ugly rumor, given a chance to confess, refusing, and getting destroyed for it. The movie is doing to the DJ, for laughs, the exact thing it's about to do to Charlie, for real. And can we just savor that the heroin DJ saga, this dumb runner that's been bouncing around since minute 16, pays off as an actual plot point at the actual wedding. That's not lazy writing, that's a movie that loaded a joke an hour ago specifically so it could fire it at the worst moment. Every stupid bit in this film is a gun on the wall, the spider, the hairy knife, the mug, the middle section, the camera, the heroin DJ. The movie spent an hour making you laugh at things so that, in the back half, it could pick each one up and quietly stab you with it. So when the DJ gets fired mid-wedding for refusing to confess, half the room is laughing and the other half of your brain is going, "Oh no, that's the whole movie, that's about to be Charlie, that's about to be everyone." The ceremony machine cranks up. Bring in mom and dad, scooch in, big beautiful smiles, "It's a beautiful day, Charlie, stay with me here." The father of the bride stands up and delivers the warm, doddering, lovely speech, "Emma, my girl, you look stunning, time has flown." It's genuinely sweet. It is the last truly nice moment anyone in this film is going to get, and the movie lets it breathe just long enough to make what's coming hurt. And then the speeches become a minefield, and watching them go off one by one is unbearable in the best way. Because a wedding speech is the ultimate performance. You stand up in front of everyone and you publicly insist that this love is real and good and forever. And every single person who grabs that microphone is privately carrying a secret that says the exact opposite. So you get these toasts that keep almost swerving into the truth and then yanking back, people white-knuckling their way through, happy, while the whole room can feel the thing nobody will name. It's like watching a dozen people try to give a TED talk on a sinking ship, all of them refusing to mention the water. The gap between the words being said and the truth in the room gets so wide you could drive the catering van through it. And the movie just keeps tightening and tightening, daring anyone, to finally say the quiet part out loud. And then the speeches go off the rails, one by one, like dominoes. Rachel, the maid of honor, the self-appointed district attorney, gets up, and her toast keeps catching on the thing nobody's supposed to say. When Emma asked me to be maid of honor, I thought, don't you have real friends? Kidding, and then, whether by accident or by buried feelings clawing up design, the unspeakable secret, the thing Charlie confessed at that dinner, gets referenced out loud in front of everyone. The grenade Charlie set on the table weeks ago finally goes off in a room of 200 guests. I'm keeping the specifics where the movie eventually puts them, but the effect is total. It's out, it's public, and it cannot be put back. And then the second gun fires because of course Misha's secret surfaces in the chaos too. She and Charlie had a moment, a kiss. We stopped immediately, it meant nothing, confessed at the worst possible second, so now there are 2 bombs going off at once and they're touching. The careful, catered, color-coordinated civility of the entire day just detonates. And it lands on Emma at the worst possible moment. It's her turn, the vows. She stands up in the dress in front of everyone, in front of that camera the videographer kept telling her to remember, and she opens her mouth and, I had a speech but I've forgotten everything, and that is the single most honest sentence in the entire movie. She didn't forget it. There was never one. You cannot write vows to a stranger. The performance just falls off her face in front of 200 people. What comes out instead is raw and broken and real, fragments of love tangled up with I don't deserve you, and I can't believe the level of stupidity I've subjected you to, the truth and the wreckage spilling out at once. And this is the payoff to that little speech workshop from the very beginning, remember. The committee, the focus group, the licentious or languorous of it all. Emma spent the whole movie producing the perfect version of this love story, sanding it, editing it, deciding which true things were sayable. And now, at the actual microphone, on the actual day, the edit just fails. The managed product collapses and the raw footage pours out, and it is the first completely unperformed thing anyone has said in 90 minutes, and it happens to be a public breakdown. The movie built an entire opening scene about crafting a speech specifically so it could detonate that speech here. That's not a script. That's a trap with a bow on it. And then it's pure chaos, the kind the wedding industrial complex has no Pinterest board for. Accusations fly. Someone demands to know if Charlie harassed Misha. Voices rise into screams. There's shoving, there's a "I'll kill you." There are grown adults in formal wear being physically held apart while 200 horrified guests watch the most expensive day of 2 people's lives collapse into a brawl. And somewhere you just know the videographer is still rolling, capturing all of it in crisp high definition for a wedding video that will never, ever be watched. There it is. Chekhov's videographer, fired into the heart. Send it into the camera, buddy. You got it all. And here's what makes the chaos land instead of just being noise. It's not really about who did what anymore. It's about a whole group of people discovering, all at once, that everyone around them was running a slightly edited version of themselves, and nobody can hold the performance up for one more second. The maid of honor, the groom, the friends, the DJ, the cousin, every single mirror in the room cracking at the same time. It's a wedding where the actual ceremony is everyone finally being seen, and it turns out being truly seen in this movie is indistinguishable from a catastrophe. And Emma, in the middle of the inferno, makes the only sane choice anyone makes in the whole film. She leaves. No dramatic chase, no swelling strings. Just a woman in a wedding dress walking out of the worst day of her life, finally choosing the unbearable truth over the beautiful picture. And the Don't Give Up song rises, which is either the most hopeful or the most ironic needle drop of the year, and the movie will not tell you which. And then the ending. After all that noise, the movie goes almost unbearably quiet. We find Emma later in a diner, a booth, the most ordinary place imaginable after the most catastrophic day of her life. She orders a cheeseburger and a Diet Coke, the meal of a woman who has stopped performing and just needs to exist. And someone slides into the booth. It's Charlie. Can I sit? And what unfolds is gentle and tender and absolutely haunting because they talk almost like strangers. I'm Emma, by the way. It's nice to meet you, Charlie. The movie loops you all the way back to the coffee shop, to the meet cute, to the very beginning. And that loop is the whole point, and it's why this movie stuck its landing for me. Because it leaves you holding the most uncomfortable question it's got. After the worst thing, after the wreckage, with every mask off and every secret out, can 2 people actually start over? Is this hope two people finally meeting the real each other and choosing it anyway? Or is it the loop closing, the buried feelings already digging back up for round two, the same disaster about to rerun? The movie refuses to tell you. It just sits them in that booth, two strangers who know everything about each other, and lets the song play. And I'll be honest with you, I sat with that ending for a while, paused it, made tea, came back. Because half my brain reads it as the most hopeful thing in the world. Two people who have now seen the absolute worst of each other. No mirror, no edit, no performance left, sitting down to try again as the real versions. That might be the only honest relationship in the entire movie. But the other half of my brain is screaming, because remember the Freud line. The feelings we bury come back in uglier ways. This is the loop closing. Same two people, same coffee shop energy, about to make the same mistakes in the same order, burying it all again under a fresh coat of meet cute. Round one ended in a brawl at a wedding. Why would round two be different? And the genuinely diabolical thing is the movie gives you exactly enough to argue either way and then cuts to black before you can win the argument. I'm still not over it. So that's The Drama. A romantic comedy that's secretly a horror movie about honesty, where the wedding is the disaster and the friend group is the murder weapon. It is hysterical and it is bleak, and it understands something genuinely upsetting about people. That who you are to everyone you love is just a story they're telling, and one sentence can make them tear it up and recast you as the villain. It'll make you laugh, it'll make you squirm, and it will absolutely make you side-eye the next person who suggests playing a party game. If you've ever overshared and watched a room go dead silent, this one is going to live in your skull. And the title, by the way, is doing way more work than it looks like. The Drama. You say it ironically at first, ugh, the drama, friend group gossip, eye roll. And then by the end it lands completely straight. This is The Drama. The capital D, life detonating, everything changes kind. The movie names itself like a joke and then dares you to still be laughing when the credits roll. I wasn't. I was sitting there with cold tea going, oh, that's what they meant. So here's my actual takeaway, and then I'll let you go. This movie is secretly the most honest thing I've seen about how relationships actually work, which is, everybody is showing everybody a slightly edited cut of themselves, and love is mostly just agreeing not to demand the raw footage. And the second someone forces the raw footage into the open, at a dinner, in a kitchen, at a microphone, it turns out almost nobody actually wants honesty. We want comfort. We say we want the real you, and then the real you walks in and we call a liar. That's the bomb under this whole sweet little rom-com, and it'll sit in your chest for days. Tell me the worst party game you've ever been trapped in down in the comments, and tell me genuinely, would you stay or would you run, because I go back and forth on it hourly. Stick around, because the next movie I broke down is somehow even more uncomfortable than this one, which I genuinely did not think was legal. Until then, maybe just don't play the game. Whatever the game is, don't.